Blockland was a large competitor of Roblox back in the day. Most people on the Roblox forums were just Blockland users calling this game a blatant copycat. There were people who defended Roblox. One of those were the all-famous Mike from the old Roblox forums. If you know, Blockland ended up dying out in the 2010s, and the Steam version was never updated past 2015. However, there are still online users who actively play Blockland. One of them, of course, is me. I joined Blockland in 2008 when I was 12. I unfortunately don't remember much from the startup until 2013. I was the stupid one to use the Blockland forums and constantly ask people to make a cool mod for me. Yes, my stupid brat self was such an uncultured idiot back in the day. And let's just say, everyone hated me. Everyone would constantly reply to my messages, replies, etc. They would always meme off of me and make fun of me for who I was. Constant attention turned towards me for no reason. This wouldn't last long, however. Why, you may ask? If you were even wondering, it's simple. I learned manners and just quit posting. After a year, I continued my activity in the Blockland community. This was from early 2013 through mid-2014, and I was more experienced at coding, and I mainly coded mod for myself to enjoy. Other than those other times I'd invite my friends to join and such. Let's just say I was addicted at this point in my life. That was until I received a Skype message. Jake, sup Michael? How's it hanging? I've just discovered something that I cannot understand, ATM. I've just been sent a message from a friend of mine who claims to be a professional hacker. Michael0314. What's going on, Doug? Jake, as I just said, I found something. Michael0314. What is the subject? Jake, I don't know. I was scrolling on Softonic and I downloaded a freeware software that was probably 100% a virus dash. Jake, when it finished downloading, I extracted the zipped folder into a spare drive, and it came up with a random file. It looked to be corrupt. Jake, I've inspected it, scanned it. There were no viruses. I didn't know what it would have been until I decided to change the file type to .rar. Jake, opening it with WinRAR, it had a folder contained within that was larger. I've scanned that one too, and I've got no results. Me and Jake continued messaging back and forth until I asked him this. Michael0314. Jake, I know this may sound stup, but can I inspect the folder? I never want to do this, but I guess I don't know. Jake, whatever man, I'll send it. If you see some stuff or get your IP leaked or some shit, it's our fault, I don't care anyways. Maybe it has some juicy 4chan memes. I don't know why I wanted to see the folder. Maybe wanting to not be left out on something like this was the turning point. After several minutes, Jake sent me a mega link containing a 615 megabyte zipped folder with the name Blockland10p3e1.zip. At first, I thought he'd sent me the wrong link, but thinking about it, it may have been the exact one. He just never brought up the name of the folder within. After going through the wonderful joys of downloading and extracting the damn thing onto my spare drive, I was ready to investigate. I was somewhat starstruck because at the first look, it seemed to be a direct copy of the Blockland folder from Steam. I even compared my installed version of Blockland to the clone, and it sure looked the same. The only thing unusual about it was the extra amount of DLL and text documents. Bad sign. I recalled. I ended up scanning the folder with Windows Defender, twice I may add, and absolutely nothing came up. Now I had two choices. 1. Run the game and then search for the folders. 2. Don't run the game and have some other expert look around. Everyone is entitled to their own actions. Everyone, including their mistakes. My gullible mind had just made a move. Run the executable. Surprisingly, it started up. It almost worked instantly. But it asked me for my Steam profile. I then realized I hadn't booted up Steam that day. About time. This has been going like a fever dream. So as my dead broken mind spent 5 minutes booting up Steam, I restarted the game and it allowed me to connect. It automatically went to the title screen, but with a pop-up. Systems need network connection. Choose your route. Underneath, that was 2 text boxes. dial up, and normal. Oh God, I shouldn't have done this. Please, just please for the love of Jesus, forgive me, you have to. But in the end, I selected normal. The game seemed to mock me when I did this move. It froze for a second. The text replaced with a random string of numbers followed by what was a loose anagram from my Wi-Fi provider. After that flicker, I was allowed to continue. The menu had little to no changes, other than something odd. The default backgrounds had this dark hue, along with a monochrome effect. I sat there for a few minutes. My mind started to rush with thoughts. You shouldn't have done this. You can't continue. It's not worth it. It's not worth the discovery of the hidden gems. I then snapped back, and I saw that the background had transitioned once more, this time to an in-game screenshot of a burning cathedral made out of bricks. There was smoke everywhere, and there were black charred remains of Blockland characters that were just lying there in the default death animation. But that wasn't enough. Not yet anyways. It transitioned much faster than the other ones. Now all the bodies were standing upright. They were facing towards the screen, but it was hard to tell out from all the dark smoke and bricks. I could only see the ones standing near the bright fires, but then it just went fucking insane. Maybe I went insane, I don't know. The eyes of the characters suddenly appeared. They were light and glowing. I could now see the ones in the shadows, the ones that were impossible to make out. The image then disappeared. I was now panicking, and I quickly opened the server menu. To my disbelief, there were hundreds, if not thousands of servers, all filled out with similar titles.
Leave us.
I started to scroll faster and faster. More and more servers popped up in a rapid pace, each of them filling up to the max in under seconds. Now the titles were changing after server 30. They were now titled,
Why did you invade?
I kept scrolling, my mind racing. The titles, oh my lord, they just kept fucking changing.
Stop. Leave bandit. Go now.
I then changed my mind and began to scroll back to the top. Now, they were changing. Something was there.
Don't try to leave.
I reached the top eventually, and now the titles were changing. All the titles. Something was talking to me. It had to be the game.
You cannot resist. You've dipped too far into the pond. And now you must have forsaken us. Come on. Join us.
This was already messed up. What could be trying to contact me? Was this a nightmare? I tried to move my mouse, but the game suddenly froze when I moved it slightly outside of the window. After the freeze, I could no longer move the cursor outside the game. Out of pure desperation, I selected the top server, and the server magically removed a slot. This couldn't be true. I selected a different one, and the server went back up to 30 out of 30 every time I clicked on a server. It would just have the same player count. But the top server would always open a player slot, just for me. Every single damn time I clicked on it, it went down to 29 out of 30, and went back up after deselection. Soon enough, I tapped once more on that same server, and guess what? It wouldn't let me click off. My cursor was once again stuck, and I couldn't move it. Frozen, locked, on the top server. I constantly clicked, probably 40 times, maybe more, I have no clue. I knew what I had to do, and as I hovered over the Join Server button, the server titles changed.
Good.
I then realized that my computer cursor was able to be moved. Oh my God, I have no clue anymore. Whatever was happening, the game forced me to join. I felt something, as if I was meant to join.
Welcome.
My mind was greeted by the loading screen. I had done it. For some reason, it loaded instantly. The connection jingle was a loud wind chime that shot through my ears. My mind was in a spiral. It couldn't have been worse. My camera was clipped through the wall. a gray wall of bricks. I was able to rotate it. It was in third person out of all things.
Holy f***.
I shouted, falling back into my chair. I was having a panic attack, sweating, my head hurting. With my very eyes, I saw my player model. I was hanging on a wall. My character's arms had been spread out like I'd been crucified. I had no shirt, and my face was in an expression of absolute agony. Blood trickling down from the cheeks onto my chest. The only thing that my player model had on was baggy, torn gray pants, with no shoes. There were torches on the gray wall, nothing else. Upon inspecting the room, it turned out I was in a dungeon with dim light, chains, shackles, and jail cells placed about. I managed to escape my captured state when pressing right-click. It was as if I was sitting in a vehicle or chair. I continued looking, not even bothering to go into first person. The audio suddenly came on. It was the sounds of crying, loud, echoey footsteps, and what seemed like a droned-out version of Blunt by Nylonia. That eerie song was on a constant loop, while the loud sounds of footsteps played in my ear. Then I saw a door at the far side of the room. It swung open, and what I was beholden with was something I'll never forget. There, standing in the doorframe, was a Blockland character. No, it wasn't. It had these realistic features. Its face was an actual texture of someone's face. It looked like a young adult, with his pitch-black skin, white eyes, rotting teeth. It looked as if someone had photoshopped the face and had lowered the quality for compression. Not only that, the character's body had all of these realistic textures that matched its appearance. Its chest had a complete black skin, no shirt, with a partial overlay of shorts at the bottom. The sides looped around, and its hands had these sharp nails, with the white, disgusting broken nail texture attached to the shape of each hand. I almost wanted to laugh at the horror of the thing. I couldn't take it, I was crying. It then proceeded to text something in the chat.
Follow me, fate is here.
That was it. I couldn't control my character, I couldn't. It threw a black rope at my character and reeled it in. It then held it over its head as it walked down this dark corridor. There were transparent PNGs of ash, dust, and other forms of rot and decay splattered all about the hallway. My mind couldn't even comprehend it. It carried my character down the hallway, then entered a large, dilapidated room with destroyed and burnt furniture, as well as several other disgusting characters standing around. They all turned to face me as the thing dropped me.
You've joined. Now you must bite the dust.
One of those monstrosities hobbled over to me, equipped a torch, and lit my character on fire. My character burst into flames with such brutality it sunk deep into my mind. The character flopped about on the floor, screaming in agony. Pieces of small square particles were tossed everywhere, getting more charged. My ears began to ring. I was choking with fright, my head fumed. I slumped out of my chair, falling to the ground. Looking back up, seeing the character falling apart with a cruel fashion. It just went black, everything shutting off. I then woke up in the emergency room. The doctors and my parents told me I had a stroke while playing a video game. I knew better. This was not a video game. No, this was an abomination of nothing but violence. If I could remember more, this would have had a more coherent ending. But all I knew after that was that I took all my important files from that computer and factory reset it. When the time came, it has been 5 years since all of that happened. The Blockland community is in shambles at this time of year. You may be wondering what I have done to the computer. Did I throw it out? No, I did not get rid of it. In fact, it has been sitting in my basement since I had stopped using it. It just sat there collecting dust. Not until now, but I have some questions to mention. I honestly do not remember a lot from what happened all those years ago. What I saw was something that has plagued my mind since then. I am 23 years old, suffering from anxiety disorder, and I am still afraid of what happened. I I had such a big reaction over a pirated version of Blockland, and I just do not understand it. It had to have been a stroke, but really a stroke? I had to find out. Setting up the old computer, plugging it into the Ethernet, and then getting the drive I had installed the horror game onto. Immediately upon booting up the game, I was greeted with a text box message.
We missed you.
I felt sick to my stomach. I cannot bear to come back to this thing. I clicked out of the message, and the game menu was not the same. The buttons on the menu had turned white, and the background images were so dark I could not make the images out. I kept my stride. I clicked on the server menu. It still reminds me. I knew it. The game flashed red and blue. I covered my eyes in fright. I did not want to have another stroke, or so I thought. I looked up, and to my surprise, the game had put me back to the dungeon. My character had been intact. It was the same one that had been all those years ago. The black characters now had 3D realistic hair growing on their head and body. The hair so long, it was touching the floor. They all grabbed me. Dozens and hundreds of messages. All reactions from the monstrosities lit up the game like a war.
Bring him. He's not us. Send him to the dragon. Send him to the dragon. You will pay for not joining us. Kill him. You will pay for not joining us.
Fuck it, I said with the middle finger to the screen. Then, everything stopped. As if angry with what I said, they all turned to face me. I will not deal with your bull. What do you want from me? What did I do to make you so angry and vexed? Messages began to be typed.
You're not one of us. You cannot tell the truth about this. We were killed. We are the unforsaken souls of the damned. The spawn of the underworld burned down our town, our cathedral. It burned us, skinned us alive, and made the beastly dragons and dark beings breathe a deathly black gas into the air. It killed us. We are not going to take this hatred. We're going to lash out.
They continued to drag me. They came to a door on the other end of the massive hallway. I was tossed inside, my Blockland character flopping on the floor. Then a giant rolling door rolled upwards, and out walked a beast. It was a dragon. Pitch black, white-winged flesh, white eyes. It began to approach me, and as it walked, it destroyed the bricks it touched. I managed to jump on its head and onto a platform. I maneuvered through a hallway, entering a weapons area. To my luck, they had a rocket launcher. Of course they did. What were they thinking? I then pressed the right click, which somehow gave my character a boost of energy. In less than a minute, I was back in the main cathedral room. The beast was there. It was tossing the dark, disturbing figures around. It then grabbed one of them and ripped them to shreds. I'm not kidding. The polygons of the figure's characters were ripped apart. Its body was ripped in half. Realistic, open flesh scene on the front and back of the model. I then equipped the rocket launcher, got a boost, and fired the dragon. The screen went white. A loud, ear-pressing bang was heard. A loud roaring, and the screen flashed more white colors, so I dodged it by looking down. I looked back up and I was shocked. The dragon was mauling and chewing my character to death. The body parts with the partial flesh textures realistically spewing out like some sort of fucked up shit. I then heard a loud scream as the game closed. Then my desktop backdrop turned to a picture of the dragon staring directly at the screen in a pitch black void. Dozens of brutal texture files from the game filled the desktop as I opened the command prompt. I was ready. I copied the game's directory and did the magic, deleting the folder. Dozens of text boxes filled the screen, and I had to act fast. The computer was now chugging, but I made it to the trash folder. I pressed the delete button, pressing, slamming all the keys on my keyboard. And it was gone. Gone just like that, it was gone. I then heard hundreds of screaming voices, hundreds of them. The computer then abruptly crashed. I sighed in relief. I was over with this. It had lasted too long. It had finally ended, once and for all. After rebooting the PC, everything was normal. Nothing ever happened. Why did this even have to happen? I then realized that this whole experience was a fever dream. This is not normal.